Good evening. Our top story tonight, the rumor mill is flying. It is officially smoke season in the NFL. As of today, we're hearing reports that the Washington Commanders at second overall could be favoring JJ McCarthy. Now, we're also hearing that the Commanders could be trading back. The Patriots could be trading back. The Cardinals are looking to trade back. The Chargers are looking to trade back. So what is real? What is false? Because in the same report, we hear that the Commanders are in on JJ McCarthy. We hear that the Commanders are in on Jaden Daniels, which is what we've thought all along. So we're going to be breaking down all of the rumors here for you today on Player Profiler today. And so we are back, and this whole conversation started yesterday when we heard Dan Quinn talk to the media at the NFL's owners meeting. The owners are all together right now, so are the general managers, so are the coaches. And we hear Dan Quinn talk about how the phone's ringing off the hook and they would consider moving back, but it would have to be a hell of an offer. It would have to be something like the Herschel Walker trade for the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings. But by all accounts, it seems like the Commanders are going to be taking a quarterback with that second overall pick, but they're just floating it out there for maybe the Minnesota Vikings to say, hey, if you really want to move up, go ahead. We're listening if you want to give us the Godfather offer. But in the meantime, we hear today that first, it's all in the same report. And this is why you listen to Player Profiler today instead of those aggregators out there, because the aggregators say, wow, can't believe it. JJ McCarthy favored to go to the Washington Commanders, according to GMs around the league, and doesn't quote or attribute the quote. Then when you watch the segment of NFL Network that it came from, first, you have Mike Garafolo saying that he's hearing from sources all across the league, all of the front offices believing that it's Jaden Daniels going to the Commanders at second overall. And then Mike Garafolo, or sorry, no, it wasn't Mike Garafolo. He's the one who said it first. Then it was Tom Pelissero that says JJ McCarthy is a popular name amongst teams to go to the Washington Commanders. That's what the teams around the league are starting to believe, that JJ McCarthy could be the guy at 2. So in that report alone, in one segment, we hear both that it's JJ McCarthy and that it's Jaden Daniels. We've heard all along that it's Jaden Daniels. We've expected all along for it to be Jaden Daniels. Now we're hearing conflicting reports, and that's because it is smoke season. Everyone wants to put out news to prevent anyone from queuing in on what they want to do. But for the Commanders, they've got to draft somebody. Marcus Mariota is their starting quarterback as of now, backed up by Jake Fromm. They need a quarterback, whether it is Jaden Daniels, who we do still expect, whether it's JJ McCarthy, who we do expect to go within the top 6 picks, probably the top 4 picks. And speaking of JJ McCarthy, he did also meet. We know he met with the Commanders before his pro day. They had dinner together. Also met with the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Keep in mind that Mike Macdonald, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, he worked with and coached JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy, the quarterback at Michigan in 2021. He was still a backup then, still just a freshman. But Mike Macdonald was on the staff there. Now he's the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So could they be in the mix to trade up? Other teams talking about JJ McCarthy. Antonio Pierce can't believe that he's not in the top 3 quarterbacks when he won a national championship, the national championship winning quarterback, sitting there at number 4. He can't believe that. Jim Harbaugh, and of course, Jim Harbaugh is biased because that's his quarterback from Michigan. But Jim Harbaugh says it was the best pro day that he has ever seen. JJ McCarthy, the steam, the stock keeps going up and up and up. Rounding out the news for the Washington Commanders, they are not interested in trading their defensive tackle, Jonathan Allen. He is going to be staying with the team. He is not going anywhere. Michael Dieter, guard/center, signed from the Houston Texans, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, as well to the Commanders, so they're just adding depth there. And Austin Eckler is with the Washington Commanders now, says in an interview that The Chargers were looking for something different. They were looking for something that he couldn't provide. And so he was excited for a fresh start. And that tells me that they were looking for the Gus Edwards. They were looking for a grinder back. They're looking to get heavy. They're looking to run the football with strength, with power. And Austin Eckler he's very strong. Don't get me wrong. Very, very strong. One of the strongest per pound athletes in the NFL. But his game is more style, more finesse, more of a receiving back, more of a scat back. And that doesn't seem like what the Chargers want right now. So now we've got Gus Edwards. He's going to be wearing the number 4 this coming season for the Los Angeles Chargers, by the way. He's going to be joined by Christian Fulton, the former Tennessee Titans cornerback, signs with the Chargers, turned down offers from the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Cardinals to sign with the Chargers. And as Jim Harbaugh put it, the draft really starts at 5th overall with those 4 quarterbacks that are going to be going early, potentially 4 quarterbacks in a row. The draft really starts moving and shaking with that 5th overall pick for the Los Angeles Chargers. Will they make the pick? Will they trade back? We will wait and we will see. But one of the teams picking ahead of the Chargers, the New England Patriots, we've got news on them and so much more on Player Profiler today.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from Player Profiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it. This episode is brought to you by Player Profiler, the Dynasty Deluxe package. The rankings are the best in the industry. It includes strategy mode where you can say, hey, change the rankings to be win now. Oh, change the rankings to be productive struggle. There's also a draft planner to help strategize where you should take players because the draft planner also includes ADP. There's a trade finder where we look up on My Fantasy League and we see trades that are done, including a particular player. Then there's a trade analyzer where you can plug in draft picks, players, and we assign a lifetime value to draft picks out 5 years. The best thing about our trade analyzer, it can't be gamed with volume. And there's mock draft data to see right now what's the market for player X versus player Y, including in the fall when very few mock drafts are happening. And our Dynasty Guide, the Dynasty Dominator, would cost you $10 on Amazon, but you get it for free with Dynasty Deluxe, and you get our rookie guide for free, a $25 value. So you get all of that for $45. So I mean, it's a great deal.
And we are back. And speaking of the New England Patriots, mentioned them before the break. They are advertising that 3rd overall pick. They say they're comfortable trading back. They're comfortable picking a player at 3rd overall, but they're also hyping up Jacoby Brissett, saying, honestly, he could be our starter this year. We're not dead set at taking a quarterback at 3. We do feel good about having a guy like Jacoby ready to go. So the Patriots are saying, hey, Minnesota Vikings, we hear you have a Godfather offer. Let's hear it. And maybe we trade back and add assets. The Patriots need more talent on this roster. They look like they are open for business. Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf, the general manager, not actually the general manager officially, but Elliott Wolf is acting as the GM for the New England Patriots, and head coach Gerard Mayo. They're going to be at the pro days for the top 4 quarterbacks as well. Other draft news that we have across the NFL, the Denver Broncos. It is realistic to think that they could trade up for a quarterback, or they didn't actually list a quarterback, but that they could move up, trade up in the NFL draft, and says it's a good time to be Monty Ossenfort right now, the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals. But in the meantime, Jarrett Stidham will compete to be quarterback 1 for the Denver Broncos, but they don't have a driver's seat. And that was in regards to the question, is Jarrett Stidham in the driver's seat to be QB1? we don't have a driver's seat. He's in the mix to compete. Who's he going to be competing with? Well, now the Broncos sound like they could trade up. That seems unlikely, given they're still missing picks from the Sean Payton trade, though they do have all their picks from the Russell Wilson trade all accounted for at this point. But we're also hearing Bo Nix linked often to the Denver Broncos. It sounds as though the team loves Bo Nix. Smart player, able to take the checkdowns, dink and dunk, also can throw down the field when the situation calls for it as well. Won't have much competition in the first round by all accounts, but later in the draft with a team trading up or in that early second round, there will be plenty of teams interested in Bo Nix. Broncos sound like they're the only team that could take him at 12. Broncos will also have new uniforms in short order. As for the other quarterback that could sneak into the first round, according to some mock drafts, I don't think he will, but Michael Penix to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are apparently interested in Michael Penix. I've heard those two names linked. Heard Michael Penix linked often to the Seattle Seahawks as well. Two teams that need a quarterback. And speaking of the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell has earned the right to compete to be that guy. And this is another reason you listen to Player Profiler today, because the aggregates out there are reporting this as Aiden O'Connell's QB1. Aiden O'Connell has earned the right to be the starting quarterback, and that's not what actually happened. It was in regards to the right to compete. Aiden O'Connell has done enough. He is an NFL quarterback, according to Antonio Pierce. So he's going to compete with Gardner Minshew and probably with a rookie as well. Again, got to be careful with these quotes. They are getting overblown because it is aggregate season and it is rumor season in the NFL. But what's not a rumor is Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze is officially the first wide receiver prospect in 4 years to receive a perfectly green chart on reception perception. Matt Harmon charts all of these rookies on all of their routes, and all of them, every single route is in the green. Every single route is successful or above average. Not every route is successful, obviously, but he has success at every single route. We love the work of Matt Harmon, and we love Rome Odunze. He is that special coming out of the NFL draft. I can't wait to see where Rome Odunze ends up. Other news around the NFL, the owners meeting going on right now. That's where a lot of these rumors are coming from. Other things that are going to be decided at the NFL owners meeting. Will we see 4 teams on Hard Knocks? It is potentially going to happen that we could be going from just 1 team per season on Hard Knocks. And then I guess they have the in-season Hard Knocks as well. But going from that to a whole division, we could be looking at the whole NFC South, the whole AFC North, whoever it is. We could be looking at 4 teams all from the same division. Oh, wouldn't that be fun with Hard Knocks? Wouldn't that be beautiful? We will find out tomorrow how that's going to shake down. We're going to have our vote from the owners on the new Hard Knock rule. But we did see some rules officially approved. The hip drop tackle is officially banned. It will officially result in a 15-yard penalty and potentially a fine as well. And there's a lot of mixed reviews. There's a lot of people saying that the game's going soft. A lot of people upset about this. And from a principle of protecting players, I don't disagree with this rule. It is clear sometimes when these hip drop tackles happen, how dangerous they can be. We see the Tony Pollard, the Mark Andrews injury, and we have also seen rugby able to take this out of the game. We have seen an example in professional sports of it happening. The problem I have is it's the NFL and it's the NFL referees, and I just don't really trust them. I don't have faith in the referees. So I approve of the intentions, and I think we have seen it be successful. But no, the NFL referees, it's going to be frustrating, at least in the short order for the new hip drop tackle rule. Other rules that won't be as frustrating, though, the replay assistant can now correct calls on the field. So if there is a roughing the passer that wasn't a roughing the passer, if they think on the field that a quarterback's helmet was hit and it turns out it wasn't, they can just correct that from the replay booth. Same with intentional grounding as well. They can correct the call. So exciting. It's going to speed up the play in the NFL. It's going to make these calls more correct. Love to see the replay assistant more involved, and love to see an extra challenge added as well. So now, if you get one of your two challenges correct, you get a third challenge, basically saying, okay, well, if I got one challenge right, why did I lose it? Why did I lose my challenge for being correct? Because you screwed up. So now if you get either of your challenges right, you get an extra challenge as a head coach. So that is all good news. Hip drop tackle, going to be very controversial, going to be a lot of posts about it during the regular season, especially when it inevitably costs some team a game. But here we are. We're also looking at the hosts of the international games. We've got the England hosts, the Bears, the Vikings, and of course the Jaguars. They always play in England every single year. And we've got the Panthers hosting the Germany game as well. So those are the four teams hosting games in Europe. I believe the Eagles are hosting in Mexico to start the year in week 1, I believe on Friday night, if memory serves me correct. But other news and notes around the NFL. Justin Fields is getting hype from Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin absolutely loves Justin Fields. To me, it feels like they want Justin Fields to win the job, but they're going to make him win it, that they're going to defer to Russell Wilson because he is the veteran. But we already knew that Arthur Smith wanted Justin Fields with the Falcons. And now Mike Tomlin, by all accounts, it seems like this is the guy he wants to win the job. When it's time to compete, Justin will be given an opportunity to compete. But I thought it was appropriate to describe it that way from when we get started. Russell's in pole position, and I think his body of work justifies that. But when asked later, Mike Tomlin added that Justin Fields oozes talent and potential. There's a lot of meat left on those bones. Justin Fields absolutely loved by Mike Tomlin. The Steelers also making some moves today. They signed Quez Watkins, which is bad news for Calvin Austin. The speedster out of Memphis, Calvin Austin, now going to be behind Quez Watkins, who is very, very fast, and Van Jefferson, who's good at running wind sprints as well. Bad news for Calvin Austin. They've signed 2 wide receivers to run down the field, which is kind of the thing that Calvin Austin does. It just hasn't worked out yet. And unfortunately, this is another setback for Calvin Austin III. Good signing by the Steelers. I do like Quez Watkins. He's fine as a wide receiver 3. Van Jefferson, also a wide receiver 3, though, so they still need a true wide receiver 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or do they really? Because it's an Arthur Smith offense now, and he only throws to one receiver anyways. Other news around the NFL, there's no competition for quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. Geno is the guy. They are very confident in Geno. And the Giants tell us that there is no competition for the quarterback position either. Daniel Jones is the guy when healthy. But there's no guarantee he's ready for week 1. They expect him to be ready for week 1. They expect him to be starting quarterback in week 1, but there's no guarantee he's ready for week 1. That's what I've been telling you. The Giants are going to wait and see. They're going to say, Daniel Jones, this is your job, but he's going to have a very short leash. Drew Lock could very well beat him out if Daniel Jones falters in training camp. If he doesn't recover well, Drew Lock could also win the job in OTAs when he is the quarterback, when he is throwing the football to the first team offense and Daniel Jones isn't out there practicing. So it could be some changes at the quarterback position for the New York Giants and for the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe for the Seahawks if Geno Smith falters as well. Other news and notes across the NFL. Anthony Richardson expected to participate in spring practices. Anthony Richardson and the shoulder injury looking like they're good to go. That is very exciting news. Stetson Bennett going to return to the Los Angeles Rams, drafted last year in the 4th round. He is going to be back for spring practice. Took the year off due to personal issues. Happy to see the former national champion Georgia Bulldog quarterback back in the NFL. But moving away from the quarterback position, we've got wide receivers. The 49ers are working to pay Brandon Ayuk. They're working on a contract. He's not available for trade. They're trying to get a deal done. That's the most important thing to them right now. Brandon Ayuk on his Instagram story spells out with emojis that money talks and bullshit walks on his Instagram. Go check it out if you haven't already. Brandon Ayuk is absolutely hilarious when he does post on social media. It's not very often, but he's flirting with Mike Tomlin. He's telling the 49ers to cut the BS. Absolutely love it from Brandon Ayuk. Also, in the wide receiver world, the Dolphins have made an offer to Odell Beckham Jr. to sign with Miami. Still waiting on confirmation, waiting for the team to accept. But Odell Beckham does have an offer to sign with Miami Dolphins. Moving on to the running back position, we see the Tennessee Titans describe their running backs, describe Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard as interchangeable. That is good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it. It could be good news for those who thought Tajay Spears was doomed. Bad news for people that thought Tony Pollard was going to be the bell cow. Looks like it's going to be what we said. It's going to be a committee. Both are going to be efficient. And this offense could be pretty good for the Tennessee Titans. And the defense could be pretty good as well after trading for L'Jarius Sneed, giving him a 4-year, $76 million contract, $19 million per year, over 4 years, $55 million guaranteed. Give up a 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick swap as well. The Chiefs free up $19.8 million in salary cap space. That was all locked up on the franchise tag. And the reason they do this is because compensatory picks are not guaranteed. You see all the time, oh, just let him walk and you'll get a 3rd rounder. And that's not always applicable because not all contracts are worth a 3rd round pick. And a lot of the time, when you lose a player of that caliber, you're also signing free agents. So it's not just a guarantee that you get a compensatory pick for letting a player walk. You also can't sign players of a certain value until late in free agency. So just doesn't work the way that a lot of people think that it works. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the compensatory pick. They franchise tagged the best cornerback in the NFL last year, knowing that they don't want to pay him. It seems like the Chiefs don't pay cornerbacks. They let Charvarius Ward walk as well because cornerback is a very volatile position year to year. There's major fluctuations for how well a cornerback plays on a year-to-year basis compared to a defensive lineman, a pass rusher who is impacting the game that the way they do on a play-to-play basis. And the year-to-year consistency that we see from the edge rushers, it is a different world out there right now. Cornerbacks just don't fetch what they used to. They're not viewed the same way. They might not be a premium position in the NFL right now, the way they're viewed. Wide receiver, quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, and defensive tackle as well, the pass rushing ones at the very least, all in that premium position category. It seems like cornerback making less than $20 million a year for L'Jarius Sneed has fallen below that. But this is also funny for all the people that said that L'Jarius Sneed was going to get traded for Jamison Williams in a 2nd rounder. All the people that said Patrick Surtain would fetch multiple 1st-round picks. It's just not that NFL anymore. It is not that NFL anymore. But rounding out news across the NFL, we see that the Jets cannot trade Zach Wilson. Teams are not interested in bringing in the former 2nd overall pick. He's making $5.5 million guaranteed this season, which teams aren't interested in paying for a 3rd-string quarterback. Zach Wilson probably hoping for his release so he can get a fresh start, choose his own destiny. But Jets have already said today that they are not going to cut Zach Wilson. He's going to be the 3rd-string quarterback sitting there behind Tyrod Taylor, behind Aaron Rodgers. Jets also still hoping to sign Jadeveon Clowney. Said that visit was outstanding. That visit was fantastic. Jadeveon Clowney would hopefully replace Bryce Huff on the Jets defensive line. Jets also signed Mike Williams, as we talked about. Looking at how this contract actually works, reported as up to $15 million. This is an $8.3 million contract. He can make up to $1.7 million in per game roster bonuses. So if he is active, he is healthy, he can make $1.7 million for being healthy for the whole year. And he gets $5 million in playtime and receiving and touchdown incentives as well. So Mike Williams, $8.3 million contract. The Carolina Panthers were given the opportunity to match and chose not to. Panthers said, nah, $8.3 million, we're good. We will pass. We will roll out with Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo. So that was the decision by the Carolina Panthers. What's going to happen with the Panthers? Is Bryce Young doomed forever?
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.